Right, very good morning, everyone. It's so exciting to see so many people here for our LEAF surgery this morning. I hope you're all keeping safe and well on this very, very cold day. I'm sure most of you know me by now, but if you don't, my name is Sam Conway. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager here with LEAF. And the way that these surgeries work, if you're joining us for the first time, we will have our usual updates from Caroline Drummond. And today we've got a very exciting surgery today. We will be talking about our fantastic Resilient and Ready programme, which is a groundbreaking new initiative which is being delivered in partnership by LEAF and Corteva Agriscience to develop new and emerging sustainable farming champions. And we're delighted to have some fantastic Resilient and Ready farmers with us today. We're joined by Harriet Ross, tenant farmer of Newseat of Dumbreck. Hope I pronounced that right. We are joined by Nick Down, farming consultant, farm manager at Yattendon Estate. And we've also got Simon Parker, head of marketing for Corteva Agriscience in UK and Ireland. The session will end as usual with a Q&A session, and it's a slightly different version this time of the Q&A session. Our business development director, Claire Mike, will be leading the Q&A, and we have an extended panel as well with some of our other Resilient and Ready farmers, including Andy Bason, who is joining us today, and also Alice Midmer, who is a LEAF consultant and Resilient and Ready program manager at LEAF. Just some housekeeping rules. If you do have a question for the Q&A, please hover your cursor towards the bottom of your screen and a bar should appear featuring a chat button. Click on this to send your question to Claire. Please state if it is for a specific member of the panel or for everyone in general. Questions will remain anonymous and we will try and answer as many as we can, although we will be sticking to a 40-minute time frame. Although given the subject, I think we might extend that a little because it's obviously a very exciting initiative. We are recording this surgery today and we will be recording it for public purposes. We normally do it for internal purposes, but because we're so excited by this initiative, we are going to be publicising it at a later date and uploading it onto YouTube. So if anyone is unhappy with that, please let us know, and yeah, we will try and edit it accordingly afterwards. So without further delay, I will hand over to Caroline Drummond. Caroline, over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Sam. And again, a huge welcome. Wow, lovely to see so many of you around the table. And very exciting topic, as you say. And just a little bit of a background that I wanted to give in the run-up to speaking to our guests today. I think, gosh, it could be more of a changing time. We've got the challenges of Brexit, climate change, COVID-19, and interesting discussions and voting still happening over in America. A friend of mine texted me last night and said from Washington, DC, saying not only have they got a hurricane passing through, but actually they're now starting to sort of board up the shops because of some of the challenges that they're slightly worried about rioting and things like that. So it's a little bit of an unsettling time, but I just wanted to reflect a bit back on history in terms of actually framing where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. And I'm sure many of you will be certainly familiar with the King James Bible. And I just wanted to read you a little piece out of Leviticus from 16:11. And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest. I think 2 meter margins, the sort of philosophies of ensuring that we get the balance right between nature-based solutions and obviously farming is something that's been very core to farmers' hearts for a long time. And it was indeed in 1931 when A.G. Street, I'm sure many of you, if you haven't read his wonderful book, lovely old penguin book, Farmer's Glory here, I do advise you have a read of it. But he draws basically on the fact that not only in 1931 were they starting to fear that farming would be despised, neglected, and almost bankrupt. It was some 20 years later, that post the war, that actually the British nation really did understand that despite all man's cleverness and adventure, when real danger comes on island people, they must turn for succour to the only permanent assets they possess, the lands of their country. It is never and will never let them down, always provided they realise and obeyed this eternal truth that to make the land serve man, man must first be content to serve the land. And I think that's something that rests very true for the philosophy behind integrated farm management, and indeed the practices that we will be seeing from the Corteva group here for the Resilient and Ready and LEAF partnership. And it is about making sure that we really do understand that it's not necessarily fashioning nature because of farming, but it is important to actually work with nature to support farming. And we will, you know, that this is something that is such a core part. And I think just to take us through the days of the week, our demand of land only grows and grows. On Monday, we want food. On Tuesday, we want shelter and housing. Wednesday, we want covering and clothing, the rich fibres of our wool and cotton. Thursday, we recognise that we need infrastructure to get from one place to another. Recognising some of the impact of our 4 previous days, by Friday, we realise how important the environment is, and we look to ensure that we drive change in nature and biodiversity, and indeed enhance it. At the weekend is drawing in, and we work for new ways for carbon capture on Saturday to ensure that it supports the mitigation, adoption and deceleration of climate change. By bringing back and building reserves through our soil health, agroforestry, planting trees, and of course, by Sunday, we're looking to integrate the importance of all these areas, not as single issues or binary arguments, but much better integrated. Obviously, music to our ears here at LEAF because of integrated farm management solutions. And I think you'll hear again later from Sam about really where things are next to the next fortnight. We've got our annual conference, but at that annual conference, we will be launching our 10-year LEAF strategy. We've chosen not to go for a 5-year strategy because we all know that the next 5 years or so are going to be fairly rocky and lots of major changes. But in 10 years' time, we will have delivered against the Sustainable Development Goals, and we will, of course, delivered against the Paris Agreement. Let's hope so, because we need to. And that's where the opportunity for us as an organisation to drive the really and develop integrated farm management to deliver a more circular agriculture within a more circular economy. So I think that brings us really nicely now into the Resilient and Ready programme. Delivering leadership in the sector is absolutely key, and you know, we are so delighted to be working with Corteva and the farmers on the Resilient and Ready partnership. It's immersive. It's an action-packed 3-year programme of training, technical support, and mentoring to adopt more sustainable farming practices, gain the skills, the know-how, and together we'd originally thought, right, we'll work with 2 businesses, so we're delighted actually we're working with 4 businesses, so we've doubled the size of the initiatives already, and 2 in Scotland and 2 in England are now going and undergoing a tailored programme of training, consultancy, trials, measuring their performance, sharing their experiences, sharing some of their woes, but more importantly also sharing some of their happy points with other farmers across the UK, with a view to become LEAF demonstration farms as well and join the network on that. Corteva, very new organisation as well, found only last year. It's been really key and very, you know, we already were excited to be working with them, but this is something that's worked very well. So I'm really pleased that we will be meeting now with Simon, Harriet and Nick. But I'm going to kick off now with you, Simon, just to start off with. You were only founded last year as a sort of, although you had developed from where you were before with Dow and Dow Lanco. And how's the first year been? And can you just also, as you sort of develop how the first year's been, how's this project working for you, and a little bit more about the detail and the ambition of the project? Thank you, Simon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Caroline, and good morning, everyone. So yeah, thanks for the introduction, and the business has come together really well. So Stow Agrisciences, DuPont Crop Protection, and the Pioneer Seeds business came together to form Corteva Agriscience, as you said. So officially launched 18 months ago, but I think we're really beginning to fly now as a team. The team's gelled really well, and our award-winning pipeline of exciting new products for UK agriculture is starting to come to fruition. And lovely segue in, we've recently launched the Corteva Global Sustainability Goals, and these are 2030 goals as well, Caroline, so a similar 10-year outlook.
Brilliant.
And the partnership with LEAF and the collaboration on the Resilient and Ready project fits perfectly with these global goals, and has already been mentioned by our CEO, Jim Collins, as a key part of our European sustainability efforts to sort of push towards those global goals. So the project for us is really all about the chosen farmers. We wanted a good mix of different businesses that were all at different stages of development of the businesses, but all that shared an interest in sustainable farming and wanting to move further in this direction. But they weren't the finished article, if you like. And the aim of the programme is to help the wider farming population to successfully deploy a sustainable farming system by following our farmers, if you like, during the 3-year programme. And as you said, we want to share the learnings from LEAF, from Corteva, and all the other experts who are getting involved on the farms and supplying advice and guidance to the farmers. So one of the questions, and we've had many questions, but particularly around why we as Corteva would want to be involved in a sustainable farming project. But we see this area, as you've outlined, Caroline, to be absolutely vital to our industry. We need to produce, we as Corteva need to be producing products and services that are appropriate and that fit really well into a sustainable farming system. So with that in mind, we are setting up trials with our farmers to test current and future products and see how they fit into sustainable farming systems. 2 of the farmers are also our test drivers, if you like, of the new Easy Connect closed transfer system that has cross-industry support from a number of agrochemical manufacturers. And I think another key area from our point of view, and we want to learn a lot from this program as well, that's part of the efforts, if you like, to make sure that we as Corteva understand the economics behind introducing the sustainable system and remove this idea that it costs more and returns less than a standard system. So increased sustainability should not mean lower profitability. That's a myth that we're keen to dispel. So we want to learn about the new ELMS scheme, the Environmental Land Management Scheme, and how that will impact UK farming businesses. And through that, we aim to work with LEAF to demonstrate our work on this project to the policy shapers and makers in government, and continue the advocacy work to deliver sort of real feedback, real practical feedback back to the government and the policy shapers and makers from the farmers in the programme. So we've got real sort of life experience, if you like, of implementing these new schemes. And finally, really, the highlights. Well, I don't want to steal any of the following speakers' thunder, if you like, but we've already seen numerous areas of interest developing on each of the farms, from agroforestry to significant cropping changes and through to diesel and cultivation managements. But the really great feedback from all of the farmers is their renewed interest in their businesses, both from themselves, but also from their teams, and then also from outside as well, with people coming to them to pilot new ideas and technologies and wanting to get involved in the programme. And I think they're finding an increased level of confidence to make these desired changes to their businesses with the help and support of everybody involved in the project.
Oh, thank you, Simon. And I think, as you said, I mean, this, if you want people to do things well, what's so critical is ensuring that you get the enthusiasm, a little bit of almost competition, pushing the boundaries a bit further, and really inspiring and driving the inspiration piece. Absolutely key. And I think, as you've highlighted, that importance of the economics. There's a lot of people who are using, oh, I can't pick up the more sustainable piece, it's going to cost more money. Yeah. And there will be critical areas of change for transformation, without a doubt. But I guess in addition to that, when we have quite a bit of evidence to demonstrate that integrated farm management actually pays, not only in the marketplace, but through better attention to detail. But the more that we can make that case, the more critical it is. And so this is such an important project to really drive that change, to inspire more people, definitely. And Harriet, Simon didn't quite say you were a crash test dummy, but he did inspire the fact that you're definitely looking at really pushing the boundaries. And I've looked at your CV, hugely impressive, and but pretty new into farming. So it's great that you've kind of joined at the beginning of the journey as well, which is even more exciting. And so thank you very much indeed. And I kind of look at your CV, I look at your day-to-day piece, and it's the same for the other 3 businesses involved as well. You know, if you want something done well, ask a busy person. And thank you so much for that, Harriet. So how are you finding the project, and what have you learned?
Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, we've had it started at the beginning of this year, so we've had an action-packed couple of months, probably a bit different to you know, without COVID involved, but nobody could foresee that, I suppose. So yeah, we've met lots of different people, virtually mainly, but some in person, which has been good. And it's just learning off everybody else, I suppose. For us being such a new business, and starting out, it's sort of finding our feet a bit, and this has sort of been a fact-finding sort of year, just, you know, with regards to the training we've done. So we've done some speak out communication training, some carbon audit accounting training, and just looking at the whole IFM as well. We did a couple of days just the other week actually, and that was great to just get an overview, and it just sort of focuses you as a business to what your goals and visions should be. So yeah, we've had Andy Guy has visited the farm, so that he's helped us sort of get our heads in gear to look at LEAF Mark and focus on that and what's all involved in that, and hopefully that'll be a goal that's achievable in the next couple of years, or even next year, if we Fantastic. Put our heads down and get going. Yeah, and what else have we been doing? So we had a soil health check as well, just on a couple of fields, just to sort of.
So Harriet, so just to explain, I mean, how long have you been kind of on the farm from your?
So we've just been farming here over a year now. So we've just had our full year, like growing season. Yeah, so very new.
And you're tenants, aren't you?
Yeah, and we are just getting to know the farm, and where's the good fields, where's the bad fields, and getting the biodiversity audit. We had that done as well in the summertime, so that's just giving us all the information of what's there, what's not there, and how we then go ahead and benefit all these areas.
Any big surprises that you suddenly thought, oh my goodness, what have we taken on here? Or is it all thinking, wow, this is better than we thought?
No, it's all been great. Yeah, we're, my partner Ben, he's, not from a farming background, so for him just to start farming was, a major achievement, and we're just, loving it. Nothing can, get us down at the moment. Not even the weather.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you. And Nick, I mean, you're a regular to our session, so thank you very much indeed for our support. So this time we've got you on the other side of the fence, so to speak, and very, very pleased. For you, it's a very different size business, and indeed, again, another very busy time of year, so thank you for joining us. And you're running up to Christmas, so I think you do Christmas trees as well, so that must be quite a challenge. would you get Amazon delivering those? Because people, I guess, traditionally used to come out onto the farm. I mean, for you, this has sort of kicked off really from the beginning since March, and you've, I don't know, sorry, I should know how long you've actually been at the estate, but has it sort of started to identify and pull to the top areas that you need to focus on a little bit more and to really drive and challenge?
Yeah, I think that sort of really hits the nail on the head for us. You know, I've been here. I've just done my my 4th harvest as the manager here. So I've got a little bit of information in the background to start working with. So the program for us is sort of really driving us to to pick into the finer detail of what we're doing. The 2 big areas is the same for us as it is for not only the other sort of farmers involved, but many across the industry. Really, it's particularly the integration, the understanding of the biodiversity and how we're affecting that. And I think the big key one for us particularly is and going forward is soil, and how we're going to adapt our farming techniques to meet the requirements going forward. So I think the program for us so far is really starting to help us fine tune our way of thinking.
Brilliant. And from the soil perspective, I guess, were you sort of doing regular soil testing, and have you now taken to another level around sort of looking at carbon footprinting, building up organic matter status and things like that? Because I think this is the real challenge at the moment, of trying to define and put some metrics and some good guidance of saying I'm doing the right thing, really.
I think that's right. Yeah, I used to think we had a pretty good grasp on what we were doing. We were regularly testing, and we sort of split our farm down into splitting fields down into zones, and managing on zone specific areas in terms of the basics of sort of P and K, magnesium and pH. I think what we've learned from that is taking that a whole step forward, and as we start to look at organic matter and carbon capture, and again how we can keep fine tuning that management as we move forward. I think what we've realised is we were actually doing a lot of good things. What we weren't really doing was recording them, and probably learning from them, those experiences, as well as what we should have been. And I guess this sort of program is really helping us and supporting us in doing that.
And do you think, if you sort of were to look forward in about 3 years' time, do you think you'll make some radical changes for what you're doing at the moment?
I think almost inevitably
push the limits, sort of push the boundaries a bit harder, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I guess I come from I'm fairly fortunate in my work for a reasonable scale farming company, so the ability for us to be able to measure and compare sort of comes quite naturally to us. It's something we do a lot of. What we're starting to do now is focused on different areas, rather than purely the financial areas. We're starting to take a step backwards, and really go back to basics in terms of soil and management, and particularly how we establish our crops. Excuse me. So yeah, definitely no changes off the table at the moment.
No, but I think that's, I mean, this has been part of the fun of all of this, in terms of actually getting a core group with fundamentally different businesses to actually look at challenges through almost different microscope sort of the different eyeglasses as well. So I guess one of the aims, and you raised this, Simon, is basically to develop fitter businesses. I have to say it's been really interesting with COVID. Some people are a lot fitter, and some people are personally, not a lot fitter. And I think there's been a lot of challenges now for people's businesses to really try and gear it up. And I think, one of the things we always say with LEAF and our farmers is, if you want to prepare yourself for the future, make sure that you are in charge of the things that you can be in charge of. And this is all part of being fitter. And I guess the measurements that you're taking and starting to see are really going to be key. What could you sort of look at those in a little bit more detail in terms of what they are, the soil health, quality, the economics piece, Simon, could I just ask from your perspective to start off with in that area?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's all of those things that you've mentioned, really. I think the different farmers are deciding themselves which areas of their businesses they want to focus on, and we've encouraged this really, because I think we're always going to get better information out if the host farmer, if you like, is really interested in those areas, and there's different programs or different parts of the program set up on individual farms. For me, the economics piece is really interesting because yeah, it's, as we said, it's sort of dispelling this myth around the fact that sustainability costs more, and we really want to get rid of that, because we believe that we can produce sustainable quality produce and still be profitable, and the guys are demonstrating that. Soil health, definitely very important on our list. We've got one of the trials we'll be looking at nitrates in water, so reduction of nitrates in water potentially with a product applied to the growing crop. So yeah, two key areas.
And I think this whole area of nitrogen use efficiency, the attention to detail is absolutely key. I was chairing a session yesterday for cereals, and we had a vote on do you think there should be a nitrogen tax? And in fact, 52% of the attendees said yes, they did think that there should be.
Wow.
So yes, I was surprised. But I think anything like that is driving the efficiency. That's quite a core part. And so from your perspective, Harriet, what are the key measurements that you're taking, and how do you see these matching around and trying to put some baseline economic sort of parallels in there too?
Yeah, I think that's hugely important for us as a new business, just to sort of get a grasp of where we're at and where we want to go. So we did Farm Bench for our 2019 year, which gave you a really good gross margin of each enterprise, your cost of production, which we think is hugely important. I mean, not that we could have done a lot about it, but it does give you that baseline. So we're going to wait to do it again for the 2020 season as well, just to compare the two. And off the back of the Farm Bench, we actually have done a carbon audit. So that sort of drills in, like you say, again, to more efficiency level. So how we're using our nitrogen, how we're using our muck, and what we're emitting per kilo of product that we're producing. So yeah, that's helping us drill a bit more. Our two big ones are fert and fuel. So we're mainly arable, which is, it's always going to be a problem. So we're just trying to make sure that we use muck better. We'd actually set up a trial this year where we've put 2 fields of wheat in, and we've ploughed, power harrowed, sowed, traditional standard on one field, and on the other field we've just direct drilled into a grass lay. So it's about 6-year-old grass lay. So yeah, hugely, if we're just going to measure it from start to finish on, soil health, our carbon footprint, if we've reduced our fuel, if we've, how the yield's going to look at the end of the day. So yeah, that's going to be exciting to watch that one. We've put it right on the roadside as well, so everybody can see it. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, we'll get the neighbours talking anyway.
Are you one of the sites where you've been looking very much at diesel use? Because as you say, fertilizer and diesel at the end of the day, the more that you're digging stuff out of the ground, the bigger the sort of the challenges are in terms of not sort of really keeping carbon locked up. So are you one of the ones who are looking at the diesel piece?
Yeah. So I mean, it's just everything really. There's a lot of different aspects we can look at this trial, which is quite good. You can look at, I mean, we did the sustainable farming review as well, and one of that things that highlighted was that we have recorded fuel, but maybe not as much detail, and so it's using that and putting it into sort of a monetary value, like you said. How much is that? Is that different drill costing us or saving us money? So it's that sort of things that we're trying to do. And because we're a new business, we know we're not set on one drill. We haven't bought bought a drill yet. So I mean, it's all decision making for us. We'd really like 5 or 6, but yeah, I don't think the bank manager would allow that.
Brilliant. And I think, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think we're all thinking, gosh, bring on a hydrogen or an electric tractor at the end of the day as well. It would be such a godsend. And for you, Nick, what have been some of the key measurements? And I mean, you're already running a pretty efficient and effective business, and it's that sort of marginal gain that's always a bit more of a challenge. But are you seeing some step changes? Are there areas that you're wanting to really kind of rocket through to say, gosh, we're not doing this right?
I think, yes, similar to Harriet, really, in the, we've been looking at, as we've sort of started to fine tune our sustainable review, and particularly part of that process was looking at, our carbon footprint, and that starts to, ask questions in a different way, really. So, we're really starting to hone in and scrutinise, particularly fuel is a big one in our energy, down to the point with literally how long we've got lights on in buildings, and, how many hours we're running grain cooling fans for. So we're really trying to get down to to make those finer margins work for us. So I think the key thing is measure some more, because without that information you don't know whether you're getting better or getting worse. So I guess that those are the things that are really starting to fine tune our management approach.
Brilliant. And just before I head back to Sam, one of the sort of the final areas that I would, you've all done communication training and the Speak Out package, and any sort of top tips that you're starting to learn, whether it be engaging, as you say, Harriet, the neighbours that are stopping by thinking, what is going on there, right through to the general public as well. So Nick, any top tips from your perspective?
I think keep being positive and keep going. I think we're all, occasionally we take a look and think sort of farming's getting quite a bad press, and if you sort of follow social media too closely, I think there's as much bad as there is good being said. I think one of the things we've learned through the past 6 or 7 months being part of this program is we're doing a lot more good than we give ourselves credit for. So I think every opportunity we have to get out and talk about that is sort of crucial, and whether that be on a national scale on social media, on a local scale, just talking to your neighbours and your local community, I think the options are endless to really sort of talk about what we do. And generally people are really interested at the moment.
No, well, thank you, and I think you're dead right. Actually, we often a boo is much louder than a hurrah, and we often are kind of fools to that. We just had now some of the statistics around Open Farm Sunday or Online Farm Sunday. I think we had 1.7 million impressions, and over 397,000 people going out there. So, you suddenly think, wow, there's some really good things going. Harriet, what's the communication pieces been like from your perspective?
Yeah, they've been great. I mean, as well as getting us better at telling the story, I think just technical things like clean your camera lens and watch out for windy days. We're right on the top of a hill here, so we spend about, I don't know how long, doing about 20 million takes of a video, trying to get it right, and then the wind's like you can't hear yourself think. So yeah, it's been great just getting that technical side of things as well. We're both quite keen on social media, so working with that hasn't been a problem, but it's just, yeah, like Nick says, promoting that good news stories, I think, very important.
Brilliant. And well, thank you both. And Simon, last word to you on the communications front as well. And it's good to see your boss there, Adrian Goff. Hi there, Adrian.
Yeah, on the communication piece, I mean, the stuff that the guys are producing is fantastic. To say that they were slightly nervous for a start, I don't think I'm revealing too many secrets there, but to the stuff that they're doing now is just, it's just fantastic. And really encourage anybody to take up the LEAF Speak Out training and tell your good news stories as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, all three of you, and absolutely inspiring. I know, as Claire said, we've got record numbers here. We've had 81 people around the table, and so exciting. So Sam, back to you for some of the questions from our people. Yeah.
Yes, contrary to what I said earlier, I think Claire's having a few broadband issues, so I will field the Q&A, but I've managed to unmute Andy and Alice so they can join in the discussion as well. Thank you to everyone who has submitted questions so far. First question, how is this programme different to anything that LEAF has done before with farmers? Alice, do you want to field that one?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the motivations for us to do the programme was to really work with in detail and sort of power charged with originally 2, but as Caroline said, now 4 businesses, really in that detail, depth and looking at on-farm specificity. We talk a lot about integrated farm management, obviously, and it looks very different on different farms. So the ability for us to get some real rich data on actually what it looks like on 4 different farms as farmers go through a process perhaps of looking at how they can become more sustainable, what that means for their business, what are the pros and cons, what are the trade-offs, and that sort of thing is really the difference. So for me, it's a bit like what LEAF does broadly and really widely, but sort of honed in and in a lot more detail. And it was, yeah, it's been so far and continues to be a fantastic experience for us in terms of doing that as well.
Excellent. And one for you here, Andy. What has been the most surprising aspect of the Resilient and Ready programme for you so far?
The most surprising, crikey. You put me on the spot now. Yeah, but it's the whole package, really. I mean, it's not really surprising. I mean, I kind of knew what I was getting into, I suppose. But so nothing really surprising. It's just the fact that how quickly it's all moved. You know, even with lockdown and having virtual meetings, how quickly we're running through these different sort of aspects of the wheel, if you like, and you know we're sort of ticking boxes quite quickly, which is great. But yeah, not necessarily surprising. I kind of knew what I was getting into.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no surprise. The fewer surprises, the better, I suppose. Question for the whole panel. Do you think the story of UK farming in the next 10 years will be evolution or revolution? Simon,
Oh, yeah,
I think you're best placed to answer.
Thanks for that one. I would say evolution. I think we know and we understand that there will be leaders in these areas, and people have already implemented sustainable farming systems and integrated farm management on their farms, and then we're hoping to encourage the wider population along the journey as well. There we go, Alice, I've said it. Along the journey. But yeah, I think for us, sustainability and digital agriculture, where those 2 areas overlap, that's where the real gains will be made. I think if we're using the precise nature of digital ag to highlight opportunities to increase our sustainability in farming systems, whether that be through diesel management, through cultivation depth, through taking certain areas of certain fields out of production and putting that down to biodiversity habitats instead, I think they're the sort of changes and the sweet spot that will develop over those 10 years, and that's where we can see farming businesses in the 10 years. And as I've said before, at Corteva we've got to develop products and services that fit with that model of agriculture.
I think, Sam, it'd be fair to say, I mean, there's always going to be a bit of a mix and match of evolution, you know, our core values for our resources, our natural resources. But this is where the revolution in technology is only going to get faster and much more exciting. I mean, you just have to look back 30 years. You know, the original LEAF audit and now LEAF Sustainable Farming Review was carbon copy document. You know, wow, technology's changed so rapidly in that time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the next 5 years will see more change than the previous 25 or 30 years as well in terms of technology.
Excellent, thank you. I think we'll squeeze in a couple more questions. This one's for you, Nick. Can you expand more on what you are doing to measure and record the good things that you had been doing and that you are currently doing now?
I think for us, obviously, you know, our business here is pretty large scale. So me thinking I can go out and measure everything myself just doesn't happen. So I think the key thing for us and the big learn for us has been, sort of incorporating a lot of local knowledge. Lots of people are keen to come on and measure different aspects, different things for us, particularly on the biodiversity side. So it's really how we use a lot of outside help and draw that to one point for us to be able to learn, and that's been really key for us, and something that hopefully we can build on as we enter into mid-tier stewardship next year, and also as part of a cluster group. That sort of local knowledge really helps us. So that's been one big, a big plus for us in the last 12 months.
Can I just add to that, Sam?
Mm-hmm.
Just to say that so in terms of the specific monitoring we're doing with the programme, because as Nick says, there's a lot that he's been looking at for a little while longer as well. But from the soil side of things, been working with sustainable soil management and Ian Robertson there, looking at the soil health as well as biology and physical health, as well as the chemistry, which is interesting, and Nick's doing a lot of other work around that as well. And then Nick's done a fantastic job of inspiring and attracting sort of local interest groups to look at certain species specifically on the farm, which is something we're always really keen to promote at LEAF. But we've also been working with Oakbank to get a broader piece of what the farm and the habitats look like on both Nick's farm and Andy's, which has been really interesting to try and start setting a bit of a baseline. What I've learned with biodiversity is it's always a lot easier said than done. There's so much out there to look at and to monitor and to measure, and it's really looking at where to start. But start we must, because it's such a crucial area. And then also that energy area, which we work closely with Andy Guy on, looking at where energy is being used and how we can monitor that to greater effect, as well as the carbon footprinting, which again Nick's been working a lot both within the programme and externally. So just as somebody said earlier, this year has been a real fact-finding mission to try and get as much information on the farms as we can, to help the businesses themselves identify where they want to improve and where they want to work on. They throw everything at them and see what comes out, and they seem to be wanting to do everything, which is always inspiring to work with. So that's good.
Great, thank you, Alice. One more question, I think, before we wrap up. There have been lots of carbon planning tools for many years. Which one should we be using to benchmark?
Can I take that one again, Sam?
Oh, I suppose so, yes.
just to say, because the farmers are actually using different ones. So by all means, it'd be good to hear some more detail from them. But that was part of the point of, part of one of the looking of the programme, to look at different audits on different farms and get a bit of a feeling of what tools are good for what, and what benefits are. And some of lucky farmers we've even asked to do 2 tools, and they are indeed the lucky ones. So and we're actually, to throw ahead, we're hoping to run some more practical in-depth sessions in the new year, and one of them I think will focus really on the carbon footprinting and what our 4 farmers have learned from different tools and what they recommend and what's been more challenging. So definitely more to follow on that.
Brilliant. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, everyone. I think we'll wrap it there for today. It's been an absolutely brilliant surgery session today. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Huge thanks to everyone who has joined us today, but also thank you as well to our Resilient and Ready farmers, to Harriet, to Andy, to Nick. Also a shout out as well to Craig and Claire Grant, who I can see are on the call as well today, our other Resilient and Ready farmers. Thank you as well, Alice, for joining us. And yes, thank you, Simon and the Corteva team as well. We'll wrap it up there. And thank you for everyone who submitted their questions as well. We usually do these surgeries every fortnight, but we're not doing one in 2 weeks' time, because we, of course, have our annual conference taking place instead, which will be done virtually this year. It's all about climate change for this year's annual conference. If you haven't signed up already, you better do so quickly, because places are filling up very fast. We have a great lineup of UK and international speakers, and there's more details on the events section on the LEAF website if you do want to sign up. We'll also be talking about the launch of LEAF's next 10-year strategy as well for 2021 to 2031. The conference will be chaired by Tom Heap, BBC broadcaster and journalist. Our speakers include Jonathan Wadsworth, lead climate change specialist at the World Bank Group in Washington, DC. We've got Chris Buss, director of the Forest Conservation Programme. We've got Minette Batters, who I'm sure you all know, president of the NFU. We've got Duncan Farrington, LEAF demonstration farmer and LEAF Mark certified producer as well, who runs Farrington Oils. And of course, we will have Philip Wynne, our chairman, and Caroline will be there as well. So we hope we can join us for that. The next surgery after that will be on the 4th of December. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much to everyone for joining us today. We hope you all stay safe and well and warm. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Many thanks.